Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Retro Adventures. The end of another week, the end of another poll. We've got a fantastic win for Tales from the Forlorn Hope for the Cyberpunk RPG. Now this is going to be a PDF review, so we're going over to the computer desktop to have a look at that in a wee second. And I'll be back at the end of the video with some other channel related news, some other poll related news. But before I do that, I want to talk about my Patreons for a moment. Because this week I have been told, the body can be grown, but the heart never changes. It wants what it wants. Now these are wonderful people who help support the channel and allow me to make videos about quirky little RPGs, rather than chasing the algorithm and creating endless Dungeons & Dragons videos. And that's something I love, I adore that freedom, so I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Now if you'd like to join them and help support the channel, or you'd like to see these videos a week early, or you'd like to see one of the other levels of patronage we've got, then we've got a Patreon in the description down below. If you check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's have a look at Tales from the Forlorn Hope. So this is Tales from the Forlorn Hope, which came out from our Talsorian games in 1992, and it's for Cyberpunk 2020, although the logo on the cover just says Cyberpunk. And it's a series of 8 adventures for Cyberpunk by William Moss, as it proclaims on the cover. But it's more than that. It's a setting. It's a place where your players go, or your characters go, to pick up missions, and where people looking to hire edge runners like your characters will go to hire them. But unlike the afterlife in the Cyberpunk 2077 game, this is a bit more for mercenaries. These will be a bit more military based. And it's a series of 8 adventures taking your characters from when they first arrive and nobody knows them, they're unknown quantities, to when they are trusted. You know, everybody who runs the Forlorn Hope and hangs around it know the players, they're a known quantity, and they'll be approached with more personal missions. But let's have a look at the back cover first of all. Long-range Team 601 left on its last mission in 2009, 4 years in a savage SouthAm drug war with little support from home and no quarter given by the enemy. When the war ended, the team was scattered into civilian life, but their combat instincts, that craving for the rush of action, couldn't be purged. 2015, John Professor Freeman, captain of LRT 601, builds a bar as a rallying point for his former teammates and a haven for other SouthAm vets. He calls it the Forlorn Hope, a place where soldiers and solos can fraternize with others that speak the language and know the nerves that come with living hard and fast. 2020, today, the regulars at the Hope continue to run the edge, across the country and around the world. And you can be there with them in 8 different adventures, from a corporate extraction with a twist, to a murder investigation gone bad, to a monster hunt in the wilds of Eastern Europe. Pay your dues and become a member of the most exclusive solo fraternity around, the Forlorn Hope. An adventure for Cyberpunk 2020. And as we go into it, this copy is a bit dark. I'm not sure this is the copy off Drive-Thru RPG, but it looks very dark as well when I've examined it. But continuing through, we've got an introduction going through the years, talking about the Cyber Wars. The characters who run the Forlorn Hope are veterans of the Cyber Wars, so it's talking about that. We've got a contents page, credits. Then we're into Tales from the Forlorn Hope, where a reporter, CJ O'Reilly, is going into this bar and talking to people. So it talks about Night City, the Forlorn Hope. Got a lot of text about that. John Freeman, professor who runs it, an interview with him. Behind the scenes, friends and associates, people who hang around it. Quite a long list. We've got the band that tends to play in the bar. The scene. And then we've got NPC stats. So we've got the media that's doing the interview. Dr. John Freeman, the professor, a fixer, age 43. Marianne Russell Freeman, techie bartender, age 38. We go through all the NPCs. We've got conversations at the Forlorn Hope. Different characters and sort of history on them. In the form of an interview, so they're asked a series of questions and it's their answers. Including the band. Interview NPCs, the stats and skills for NPCs interviewed. So it's really fleshing out the place. We've got 20 pages here already of just background material on the Forlorn Hope itself. So it's not just a series of adventures. I don't know why they kind of claimed that on the cover. It's a lot more than that. Talks through what the military group did during the war, leaving it. We've got some floor plans. There's including a Ripperdoc surgery, armament section with an armory, a gun range, a workshop. The Folorn Hope is designed for beginning characters to wield a new Cyberpunk team together with some medium weight action. And then we've got the Tales from Forlorn Hope. So these, as I said, are missions where the players are going in, and they're not a known quantity at the start, but through these they'll be building friendships and building themselves a good reputation. So this first one is they are being hired because South American mercenaries are being hired to do attacks on American cities. So they are going to be going into the consulate of Colombia to find out where these mercenaries are raiding from on various yachts off the coast. So they need to identify the yachts. So we've got them as they're hired, cracking the consulate, getting in there. We've got lobby guards, what happens in the consulate, checking the information out, and then the Celeste, the yacht they have to raid. And it's fairly straightforward, quite an ordinary adventure, but I expected them to be somehow more brief. This is a few sessions of play. You know, you're raiding a consulate, you're locating the yacht, and then you're sabotaging it. As I said, they're more mercenary-based than just solo street action level. But it's a nice little adventure. Nothing too special there, but a nice introduction to the Forlorn Hope. The second one is they're being hired to do transport. One of the people who works in the Forlorn Hope is doing transport of materials out to an airstrip just outside the city, where they're going to be transporting the stuff onto a plane, and he wants the players to help provide security. However, when they get there, the plans go to pot because the aircraft that they're loading onto, or they're going to load it onto, explodes. And they realise with the timing that it was supposed to be set to explode when it was in the air. So the person they were hired by was going to be assassinated by somebody within his own corporation, or the corporation that hired him. So, to complete the mission, they then take the truck full of materials and they go on a road trip, which I kind of like. It's quite entertaining. You know, you're going on various places, there's townspeople you encounter, the road through to Tucson itself, a saloon, different people that they encounter, there's raiders in dune buggies. So they're driving a big truck and they're being attacked by nomad raiders on the road. This is Mad Max 2. The Road Warrior, as I believe it's called in America. But the thing I noticed as I went through these adventures is a number of them are based on movies. Now, some of them I've recognised, some of them I probably haven't recognised, but we'll carry on through. So they get ambushed, they have to defend it, they carry on through the Marauder attack, and conclude the adventure when they make their delivery. They've done a long journey. I like that for Cyberpunk. It's a bit different to the usual type of adventures. Then we've got the Impalers. The players are hired by one of the people in the Forlorn Hope because his brother has gone missing in Romania. He was investigating various rumours and stories, some mythology of the area, and he's gone missing. And this Solo, who works in the Forlorn Hope, who works out of the Forlorn Hope, wants the players to help locate him. But he can't pay much, so he's basically paying for their tickets to go over to Romania. We've got the stuff going into Europe, as they get through customs, break in, find out what's been going on in the small village where the guy disappeared. And then they get attacked by wolfmen. It's almost as if the Romanian rumours of werewolves and vampires are all true. But after they defeat the wolfmen, they discover that they're wearing collars with corporate tags, and these are genetically altered people, so there's experimentation going on. So they track it down to a monastery, go inside the ruins, and find out what's happening, locate the brother, and undo the corporate skullduggery that's going on, messing around genetically engineering people into werewolf-like fighters. There's an osprey, so they might be able to escape. Girls' Night Out. So this one, they are being hired by two of the female street samurai who work out of the Forlorn Hope, and they're trying to track down a mercenary. They're trying to extract him. Roxy and Kissy, two bubbly, inseparable street samurai, they've been contracted by a certain Lee Ko-young. Lee is a lieutenant for the boss of the Golden Lotus. Seems that Lee has been skimming the boss's coffers. He's in trouble and needs extracted. So they'll be meeting up with them, trying to track down this character, searching his apartment for evidence, and then fighting the Tong, who are all solos, to get him out of the trouble that he's in. This is a far more standard Cyberpunk street-level adventure. Although there is quite a lot of combat in it. We've got some larger diagrams of the Forlorn Hope, not filled in to identify what's what this time though. And then we've got Colombian Cookout, where the players get hired to go on into South America. So they're doing a mercenary mission, they have to get into the country, they have to make their way across the jungle, locate an airfield and sabotage it to complete their mission. Various plantation soldiers, and then when they're there they discover that there are American soldiers who fought in the wars before who have been held captive ever since. So it suddenly turns into Rambo. They've got their mission to sabotage something and they discover a bunch of prisoners who they now have to free. The American POWs, raiding the plantation, possible consequences, outcomes of the adventure. A couple more maps of the first floor and the third floor. And then we've got Fall of the Axeman. So, an investigator who works out the Forlorn Hope has had a hit performed on him. He was discovered in his bathroom with a bullet hole in the back of his head, although it's not been fatal. Surgery has kept him alive, but he's in a coma. But the people in the Forlorn Hope want it looked up and discovered what's happened, so the players get contracted to do that. So they're trying to track down what he was investigating, and who was out to get him. So there's a long pass through that where we encounter various people, follow up the photograph, get involved with a gang. It's again a pretty street level cyberpunk adventure where you're investigating a crime, fighting street gangs and that kind of thing. There's a big data fortress they have to hack into. And this adventure, tough as nails. The Professor, Marianne and Dollar Bill are out of the country for a couple of days, so the Forlorn Hope's closed. So the players go over to the afterlife to spend some time there, when one of the mercenaries from the Forlorn Hope turns up to say there's been various raids going on. And basically this is the Clint Eastwood film The Enforcer. No, The Gauntlet, sorry. It just came up on the screen and reminded me. It's The Gauntlet. So, after they get people together, they're going to go to the Forlorn Hope to be safe. They get a big bus, the police protect them a certain way, and then peel off. And there's lots of people firing on the bus. You're taking an armoured bus through streets where people are just attacking it. As I said, it's the Clint Eastwood film The Gauntlet. And finally, The Last Long Rider. So the players are very, very trusted by this point, and the owner, John Freeman, comes to them because a member of his old squad is in trouble. He's been reported as Cyber Psycho, and the Cyber Psycho squad of the police are out to get him. And of course, as the commanding officer of that squad, he feels responsible for protecting his old buddy. So again, it's a fairly street level adventure within the limits of Night City, but it's up against more powerful foes because you've got the Cyber Psycho squad seeking for this character who might actually have gone Cyber Psycho. So we're tracking him down through various places and gangs. There's shootouts, until eventually you locate him, confront him, and either talk him down or take him down. The Cyber Psycho Squad comes up, Cavalry turns up, there's different outcomes and a conclusion. And that's it. So, the book is 8 adventures, some of them really good, some of them not so good, some of them very, very different for Cyberpunk, and ones that I really like and might use, because I am impressed with them. But before that, we've got a really nice setting to take characters who are just starting off. The Games Master doesn't have to build all this. You've got all the NPCs there. It's really good work for taking a starting Cyberpunk game, taking your people from absolute start to being trusted allies of their base of operation. So that was Tales from the Forlorn Hope, which absolutely dominated the poll this week, winning with some 43% of the vote, way ahead of everything else. Because in second place was the A View to a Kill adventure for the James Bond 007 RPG, which came in on 20%. Behind that was Termination 1456 for the Star Trek RPG, which got 19%, which is really weird because it was winning the poll at one point, but fell behind pretty quickly. In fourth position was Ice Daemon for the Dark Conspiracy on 12%, and in last place was First Strike on Paradise for the Star Race RPG, which came in on only 6%. Which saddens me because this was one of my first RPGs and I'd like to share some love for this now forgotten RPG. But anyway, they're all wiped out and we're returning to a retro RPG poll. And it's becoming normal. The first couple of options are suggestions from viewers. So these are games I'm not that familiar with. I've played these a few times, but I've never really read through the rulebook. So first up, we've got Edge of the Empire from Fantasy Flight Games in 2013. Now this is one of their Star Wars RPGs. And I played a campaign of this and had a lot of fun, even though I do think the game is slightly flawed. So I'd love to have a look through it and see what reading through the rules makes me think of it as we go on. After that, we've got Marvel Superheroes, the classic from TSR in 1984. Now, I played this back in the day, I think 1 or 2 sessions, but I'm not a big superheroes guy. But it'd be great to cover a superhero game on the channel, because I've never covered one. After that, we've got stuff just from my collection. So we've got the Soviet Vehicles Guide for Twilight 2000, 1987. Now this is a wonderful book of Soviet vehicles, funnily enough. I've covered a few of the equipment books in the past, but it'd be great to look at this one because this is one of the first edition books. And then we've got the Triangle for the Star Trek RPG from FASA in 1985. Now, this is one of the classic settings of the FASA version of Star Trek, which has sadly been swept aside for the canon versions once Next Generation came out, but the Triangle is an iconic area of space bordered by the Federation on one side, the Klingons on another, the Romulans on another. So it's an area of intrigue. There's lots of piracy across it, there's lots of spying going on, there's lots of combat in it. It's a really exciting area, and FASA really fleshed this out. So it'd be fun to look through the sourcebook. And finally, we've got Mutants in Orbit for Rifts and After the Bomb. Now, this is for After the Bomb, which was originally part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG, but got spun off in its own. So I'm not really that familiar with it. I loved TMNT, but I wasn't familiar with After the Bomb as it continued as its own separate game. And there are loads of sourcebooks for it, so I would love to look through them and see what Palladium did with it. But it's now in your hands. Vote as you see fit, and we shall see what we'll have a look at. What have I been up to? Well, over on DriveThruRPG, I've been releasing character classes for 5th edition D&D for feudal Japan, as I continue fleshing out the options available for this campaign I'm putting together where people can come from across time and space to one setting. So I've done the Wild West and pirates and sci-fi and cyberpunk and all that in the past, and I'm fleshing out some historical options at the moment, and feudal Japan is the one I'm doing this week. And over on RPG Gamer, well, the Acolyte series has finished and I've covered all of those, and I've just moved back onto the Knights of the Old Republic comics, because these are absolutely fabulous stories and they're so well supported with information for me to stat out the stuff from each issue. So that's what I've been doing. If you're a fan of the Star Wars D6 system, please pop on over to rbggamer.org and check it out and give me your thoughts on how I'm doing. But some of this stuff is absolutely brilliant. But anyway, as usual, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. As always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.